The morning sun rose slowly over Umuoka village, stretching golden fingers across the thick green canopy of palm trees that swayed in the harmattan breeze. The red earth glistened with dew, and the air was filled with the distant songs of women pounding yam in rhythm with the talking drums. It was the day of a great celebration, the wedding of Obinna, son of Nonwosu, to the beautiful maiden Ngozi. The whole village had been buzzing with excitement for weeks. Children ran barefoot through the dusty paths, playing hide-and-seek around the mango trees, while the elders gathered under the old Udara tree, drinking palm wine and telling stories of marriages past. Everyone had something to say about Ngozi, the bride. "She is as radiant as the morning sun," said Mama Yulo, fanning herself with a raffia fan. "Her skin is smooth like shea butter, and her eyes," another woman added, trailing off in admiration. Obinna, tall and broad-shouldered, stood proudly in his white flowing agbada, the beads on his neck glinting under the sunlight. His heart beat like the bata drum as he watched Ngozi approach, her waist beads tinkling under the layers of her wrapper. She wore a coral bead crown, her steps graceful, her smile shy but dazzling. The people ululated, their voices rising in waves. "Aya! See how the gods have favored Obinna. He has found a flower in the forest." In the crowd, Adan, Ngozi's childhood friend, clapped with everyone else. Her wrapper was a deep wine red, and her head was tied with a scarf that framed her face beautifully. She and Ngozi had been inseparable since girlhood, fetching water from the river together, braiding each other's hair under the moonlight, whispering secrets about the boys they admired. But now, as she watched Ngozi sit beside Obinna, her hands full of cowries and gifts from the groom's family, a sharp pang pierced Adan's chest. She forced a smile, but her eyes betrayed her. "Is this not the same girl who once ran barefoot with me, hungry, sharing roasted corn? Why her and not me? Why must fate always choose her?" she thought bitterly, her fingers tightening on her wrapper. After the feasting and dancing, when the drums grew tired and the fires burned low, Ngozi found Adan sitting alone near the compound wall. She touched her friend's shoulder gently. "Adan, why do you sit here? Come dance with me. Today my joy is your joy too." Adan looked up, forcing a laugh. "Ngozi, you have everything now, a husband, wealth, respect. What more could you possibly want?" Ngozi smiled warmly, not sensing the venom hidden in her friend's words. "A friend by my side. That is all." Adan nodded, but inside, her heart was already hardening like clay in the midday sun. That night, as the stars glittered above Umuoka, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling of her hut. If she is my sister, why did she take what I desired most? Why should Obinna's love belong to her and not to me? And in that quiet bitterness, the seed of jealousy took root. Small, but destined to grow into a thorny vine that would choke more than just her friendship. The season turned. Rains fell like strings of glass from the sky, knitting together the roofs of Umuoka with a silver thread. The farms drank their fill, yam tendrils climbed their mounds, and the river swelled until it sang against the stones. Life, like the cassava leaves, unfurled and brightened. In Obinna's compound, joy took the shape of gentle footsteps and soft humming. Ngozi moved with a new grace, palm on her belly, cheeks fuller, eyes shining with a secret music only expectant mothers hear. She rose before the cock's third crow to sweep the courtyard, to stir the pot of ogbono, to pound peppers with careful strength so the child would not grow restless in her womb. When she rested, she plaited raffia into fans, laughing at the way the baby kicked when Obinna's deep voice rolled across the yard. "Your child knows my footfall," Obinna would say, dropping the firewood with a grin and bending to kiss her forehead. "Umuoka will soon learn that the Nwosu lineage multiplies like okra. Plenty pods, plenty soup." The neighbors teased him with songs. Women came with calabashes of millet, and the old ones tied charms of safety at the doorway, muttering blessings that smelled of salt and charcoal. At night, when the moon came like a gourd spilling milk, the couple sat under the Udala tree and told stories. How tortoise stole wisdom, how the yam spirit loves honest hands. Their laughter stitched the darkness. But envy is a stealthy goat. It eats the leaves while the farmer blinks. Adan watched from the slow shade of her mother's veranda, face set, fingers busy shelling groundnuts she did not taste. She came often now, often enough to stay close to the heat that bothered her skin. She would arrive with a basket on her head, sweet words in her mouth, and a measuring eye that weighed every silver thread in Ngozi's wrapper, every gleam on Obinna's wrist beads. "Ngozi, my sister," she called one afternoon, breezing into the compound with a smile bright as kola nut. "I brought ugu and plenty scent leaf. A good soup will make the baby stretch like a healthy yam vine." Ngozi rose to embrace her. "Chai. Dan, your hands are blessed. Sit, let me fetch water." She waddled to the clay pot, graceful even in heaviness, and the little anklets at her feet chimed like laughter. Adan followed with her eyes, a bead of thought hardening in her throat. How does she do it? Even swollen, she looks like the first rain on parched ground. They cooked together, and while the soup simmered, Ngozi spoke as women do, half in words, half in music. "When the child comes, you will be her second mother," she said, stirring. "You know I am orphaned. It is you who taught me to tie headscarves, to snip plantain shoots. Ah, Adan, my heart rests in you." Something tugged in Adan's chest, old and soft, a memory of small girls running along the stream, skirts hitched, knees muddy, voices loud. They had once been halves of the same bead. "You trust too easily," Adan said, smiling. "But I will not let your child lack. Never." Her smile faded when Ngozi turned away. "Never." A darker voice echoed. "Or until fate remembers me." News of Ngozi's condition spread like smoke. Women came to massage her legs with shea butter, leaving streaks that shone like moons. Men stopped Obinna at the market to clap his back, measuring him with pride. "Prepare a bigger crib," they joked. "Or better, make two. Twins love good people." When labor came, it came like thunder rolling over far hills then breaking upon the eaves. Ngozi's cries stretched and shrank with the night. The midwife, Maman Kem, arrived with her leather bag and calm hands. She spoke old words into warm water, tied a cloth above the doorway, and told the drums in the women's hearts to keep steady time. Obinna could not sit. He ground his teeth, paced the yard, and looked to the sky where dawn brewed slowly. Elders say a man in labor is a spirit lost at a crossroad. He hears every wind as a rumor, every rustle as an omen. When at last a cry burst forth, sharp, fierce, insistent, his knees went weak. Then another cry twined with the first, higher, like a bird landing on a branch. "Twins!" came the chorus from within. "Twins, Obaro!" He stumbled inside to the site of miracles. Two small bundles, skin the color of ripe almonds, fists tight, feet kicking in unlaced rhythms. Ngozi lay flushed and smiling, eyes wet, hair damp against her temples. Maman Kem wrapped the babies in soft cloths dyed with camwood, placed cowries by their heads and whispered, "Welcome Amaka, she who is precious. Welcome Chisholm, God leads me." Obinna wept without shame. He placed a gourd of palm wine on the floor for the ancestors and touched his forehead to the earth. "My fathers, drink. See your granddaughters. See that your name has found laughter." Chapter 3. A home filled with laughter. The seasons changed again, and with them came the steady rhythm of family life in Obinna's compound. The harmattan winds softened, leaving behind crisp mornings that smelled of roasted maize and wood smoke. The twins, Amaka and Chisholm, were no longer tiny bundles wrapped in cloth. They had grown into lively toddlers whose laughter echoed through the red earth yard like the jingling of brass bells. Every morning, Ngozi rose before the first cock's crow. She swept the yard until it shone like burnished copper, her broom whispering across the earth. She bathed the twins in warm water, singing old lullabies her mother had once sung to her. And once, there was a tortoise who loved only himself. The girl's eyes widened as she mimicked voices, the sly tone of the tortoise, the booming laugh of the elephant, the shrill cry of the bird. When she finished, Amaka always clapped softly, while Chisholm jumped up demanding, "Another one, Mama. Tell us another one." Obina would chuckle, shaking his head. You have given me not only children but storytellers. Our compound will never lack laughter. But while joy reigned inside the compound, Adan, Ngozi's childhood friend, lingered at its edges, a shadow among the sunlight. She visited often, bringing gifts of vegetables or small loaves of bread. To all who saw her, she appeared the picture of loyalty. A friend who had not abandoned Ngozi even after marriage, a woman who loved the children as if they were her own nieces. Adan is a true sister, people said. Not every friend remains close after a wedding. Ngozi is lucky. Yet behind her smiles, Adan's envy festered. Each time she watched Ngozi laugh with Obina, her chest tightened. Each time she heard the twins call Mama, Papa, her teeth clenched. She had expected marriage to find her by now, but suitors passed her by, as though some unseen spirit blocked their steps. And so, she poured her bitterness into silence, covering it with a mask of care. Let me help you pound this yam, Ngozi, she would say, snatching the pestle from her friend's hands. Or, I will rock Chisholm to sleep tonight. Rest, my sister. Ngozi, trusting and grateful, never suspected. Adan, you are truly my second self, she said one evening. When my daughters grow, I will tell them you are their second mother. Adan forced a smile, but her thoughts burned. Second mother. Well, one day, I will be the only mother they know. That night, as the compound fell into slumber and the crickets began their midnight song, Adan lay awake in her hut, staring at the ceiling. The laughter of the twins still rang in her ears, but instead of joy, it filled her with a strange, gnawing hunger. The envy that had taken root long ago now grew stronger, like a weed choking tender crops. And though Ngozi's home was filled with love, shadows had begun to stretch quietly at its edges. Shadows only Adan could see. The moon was high over Umuaka village, its silver light spilling across the huts and farms like palm wine poured too generously. The night was quiet, except for the soft chirping of crickets and the distant barking of dogs. In Obina's compound, laughter drifted from the hearth as Ngozi fed roasted plantain to her daughters. Obina sat nearby, weaving a rope basket, while the twins tugged at his legs and giggled when he pretended to growl like a lion. It was a picture of peace. A picture that made Adan's blood boil each time she saw it. She had been watching for months now, her envy growing like weeds in fertile soil. Every smile on Ngozi's face, every tender touch between husband and wife, every innocent laugh of the twins felt like a thorn pressing deeper into her heart. At first, she told herself it was harmless jealousy, nothing more than the bitterness of a woman overlooked. But envy has no patience. It grows restless until it demands action. That week, Adan found herself drawn to the far edge of the village, where the old herbalist lived in a hut half swallowed by the bush. His name was Okonkwo, a man with a beard white as chalk and eyes clouded like storm water. Children feared him, women whispered his name only in shadows, and men avoided his path. Yet Adan's feet carried her there as though pushed by an unseen hand. Who comes? The herbalist croaked as she stepped into his smoky hut. The air reeked of dried leaves, pepper, and things older than memory. It is I, Adan, she said, kneeling low. I seek a medicine. He chuckled, his laugh dry like rattling bones. All come here seeking medicine. But what sickness do you carry? Fever? Swollen belly? Or is it the sickness of the heart? Adan swallowed, her voice trembling but steady enough. It is the sickness of the heart. My sister has taken everything from me. Love, respect, joy. I cannot sleep while she breathes. The old man's eyes sharpened. You speak of death. She lowered her gaze. Give me a potion that leaves no trace. Something that will silence her laughter forever. Okonkwo studied her for a long while, then shuffled to a corner where gourds hung like sleeping bats. He plucked one down, muttering incantations under his breath, and poured out a dark, viscous liquid that smelled faintly of bitter cola and crushed leaves. Mix this with palm wine, he instructed. She will drink, her belly will twist like a snake, and before dawn, her spirit will walk with the ancestors. But beware, daughter, blood cries. The earth does not swallow secrets forever. Adan nodded quickly, clutching the gourd to her chest. His warning brushed past her ears like wind through dry grass. Her heart was already beating with triumph. The next evening, Adan arrived at Ngozi's compound with a calabash of palm wine balanced on her head and a smile sweet as honey. "Sister," she called, her voice bright. "I have brought palm wine from my uncle's farm. Let us drink together and celebrate the blessings in your home." Ngozi's face lit up. "Adan, you are truly my joy. Sit. Let us drink." Obina was in the fields, and the twins were playing with little clay dolls in the sand. Adan poured the wine carefully, her hands steady though her heart raced. She handed one cup to Ngozi and raised the other to her lips, only pretending to sip.